Alicia Holmes. I've been working with the post office 8 years now. I met Bruce about 5 years ago. I was in Shongaloo. By the time I came down here about 2 years, going on 3 years ago, we got real close. He'd come in, he was like, "Hey girl." I'm like, "Hey." And you know, if I take off, he'd get on and "Okay, you took off too much. What you taking off for?" Or just have a conversation, make the day go better. "It's okay, it's almost lunchtime," or "It's the weekend. Have fun." I always tell him the weekend don't matter to me because you off the weekend. I still have to come in here on Saturday. He like, "Well, have fun still." Even to the point where he done invited me to a cookout thing they had over there in Shreveport, and I was like, I don't know, I think about that one. So, sweet man, very sweet. Once you get to know him, you love him. It's just one of those things. So you get used to seeing him come in, then I knew once he'll come in, I was like, "Where Bruce at?" Or he'll tell me, "I'm gonna be out." Or I had to tell him, "I'm gonna be out, so don't expect me." Like, "Don't you be taking off." He always told me, "Don't you be taking off, you taking out too much." So it's crazy. But like I said, you get to love him once you know him.
Okay, my name is Sean Jacobs. Bruce Williams have been my driver probably for at least, I would say, 5 to 7 years, maybe more than that. Bruce is just one of those guys, man, that everyone needs to meet and would love to know. And what I can say from the bottom of my heart is that when I first met Bruce, the impact he had on me was just tremendous. You know, I immediately connected with him. He began to be like family. You know, I'm self-employed, so I'm very small, and we're in a small town, so you know I could relate to him, and he would share stuff with me. But man, we had this bond, this bond with Bruce. Every time he delivered a package, he had something for me. He inspired me. He was a man of faith. That's one thing that I can say. We talked a lot about that, and he just truly inspired me so much. And I never knew or had a chance to meet his family, but the relationship that we had, I felt like I knew those guys just by Bruce, and that's just the kind of person he was. He was real transparent, real inspiring, and I mean, man, I look forward, my kids even look forward to seeing. Every time we see that brown truck going down the road, I got a 10-year-old son, he said, "Daddy, you reckon that's Mr. Bruce?" You know, and every time I see it, you know, even now, man, it does something to me, because he's one of those guys, man, that just are irreplaceable. You know, he's irreplaceable. Scripture tells us that, you know, Apostle Paul said it's better for him to go to be with the Lord, and it's better for us to have him there. And I feel that same way about Bruce, man. Even though Bruce is gone, man, I know it's better for him because, like I said, he's a man of faith, and I believe he's with the Lord. But for us, man, we had a great loss, and I will never, ever, ever forget about Bruce, man. And I tell you, to his family, his friends, his co-workers, man, hey, bro, we thank you guys for sharing Bruce with us. He's been serving us for years, man, and nothing or no one could ever replace him. He's just a great guy, man, and we're gonna miss it. But he did leave an everlasting impact on me and my life. I can guarantee you that. And I just say thank you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Caraway, and our company is Bug Stomper. We're here in the Sarepta area, and Bruce has been delivering and picking up here for many years at our business. But prior to that, he also delivered to our residents, and more especially to my mother-in-law's residence. She did a lot of online ordering, didn't get out a whole lot, so he was kind of present most every day. And even in fact, when one of our children was younger, she had ordered a car seat, and he delivered. And I think that maybe you all had a child recently, and he maybe was in the market for a car seat as well. So they together opened the car seat, and he kind of took a look at it to see if that might be something that would be suitable for his child. I'm not sure if it was the son or the daughter, but it was about the time that we had one of our children. So he was just that kind of guy. He was just very heartwarming, and just loved people, and loved being, you know, working and doing for, you know, everyone. Just, you know, whether it was, you know, shutting the door behind himself so no one had to get up out of their desk, He was a very, very incredible man, very family oriented. We had children approximately the same ages, so our boys played baseball, his son played baseball, so we always shared those stories. I'd have a pair of cleats on the truck that we were just needing for that night, and I could call him on his cell phone and he would meet me, just to make sure my boys had cleats for that afternoon, or a new baseball bat, or whatever it might be. He was always gonna make sure that they had whatever was on his UPS truck. So he will be greatly missed. He was a phenomenal person. All I knew of him was here at our business, but I know you all will miss him terribly, as we do here, so I can only imagine the magnitude that you all miss him. Praying for your family, and we're here if you need us.
Okay, hi, my name is Christy Morgan. I'm with Sawmill Supplies and Equipment in Sarepta, Louisiana. I met Bruce in April of 2012 when he started coming here every afternoon to pick up our packages. As you can see, it's a tight squeeze from the door to the wall to my chair. So he had his little way of taking the dolly in there, and then every day whenever he'd leave behind me, he'd say, "I'm gonna ease behind you, Christy, one more time. I'm gonna ease behind you." And then he'd get to the door, back it up, and say goodbye. And that's my little special moment every day with Bruce. And just condolences to the family, and we love and pray for each one of you.
Well, I'm Dan Taylor with Sawmill Supplies and Equipment. I actually got started with Bruce probably in 2010. He's a super guy. You could always hear him talking long before he got here. But one of the things that we remember, I guess, a lot about him, he would come in the afternoon, and if you had been out of the office for a couple of minutes and came in, you would smell usually some chicken or some ribs or some beef or something that he had been cooking in the microwave while you was gone for a couple of minutes, and then he would grab it and run out the door and eating and heading down the road. But that was not all the time, but quite a few times. We really enjoyed it. Like, you'll have issues sometimes with the fact that we have a bad habit of saying, "There's Bruce."
I said it a while ago when the other guy came up.
When they drive up and after, "There's Bruce." Got to let me know to get my act together and get the paperwork done, so when he comes in, he'll be ready to go. But still a habit that we're having to try to get over. Like Christy said, prayers to the family and all those. I know he's touched a lot of lives in this time.
Roderick Robinson. I work at Continental Structural Plastics. I met Bruce through Richard, maybe about 5 years ago. Bruce was a good man. I liked Bruce. We tell jokes and every one another. We just had fun. He's a good person to be around. I just can't believe he's gone though. Alright, Bruce was like a brother to me. I can go to him with any problem. He can tell me anything. I can vent to him. He will sit there and listen and try to set me on the right path. Bruce was a good man. But I can't do this. I can't do this. Every day, about this time, 11 o'clock, I expect him. He parked that van right there. Bruce, boy. Bruce is a good man, man. He's a good man. I remember I got fired in here. Bruce called me off to the side. He said, "Roger, it's gonna be all right. They're gonna call you back." And he was right, they did. Bruce was like a big brother,
My daddy. Bruce was Bruce. I miss him. Think about him every day. I wish he wasn't gone though. I wish he was still here. Miss him.
This is Denise Denman, and we're from Springhill, Louisiana. Diane Montgomery. We own this business together as a family. It's family owned and operated, and it's Berkshires. We've been here for 50 years. And Bruce, he's been our ups man forever. I can't even remember when he first started coming. But he was a special person because our daddy has Alzheimer's, and he used to, if he didn't see him sitting in the rocking chair, it got to the point to where he just sat in the rocking chair and would come down here and visit with people. Well, if he didn't see him for a day or two, even if he didn't have a delivery for us, he would stop and come in and say, hey, where's the old man at? Is he sick? Is he still okay? Is everything good? And that meant the world to us, that somebody that didn't really know our daddy cared and asked about him like he did. And it was just devastating for us to learn the news that he had passed.
He always had a happy smile. He always laughed, was always singing, joking with us, and he was just a very kind, special, godly man.
And he came by here at least once a week. Sometimes he'd come as much as 3 times a week
During our busy time.
So, I mean, he was just a special guy to all of us.
And we're really gonna miss him.
We sure are. Because Daddy's had Alzheimer's for the last 8 years, and it did, and it made us feel good when somebody that just, knew us in passing, he felt like he was part, that he knew us well enough to check and see how we were doing.
And I'm sure we're not the only people that he checked on.
How long did he have this route? I know he'd done it for 41 years.
42 years.
42 years.
But he hadn't had
how
this
long did
route.
he had this route, John Darrell?
I would say he's had at least 18, maybe at least 18 years. He was always when he dropped something off, he always had something to ask about what you were doing, how your family was doing. Repeatedly, after my father got Alzheimer's and wasn't down there quite as much, if he drove by and didn't see Daddy through the front window of the store,
in his rocking chair.
in his rocking chair, at least once a month he'd stop by and ask, how's the old man doing? Is he healthy? Where's he been? So he took an interest in the people he worked with.
And the whole community of Springhill. Everybody knows him.
And when he didn't show up, that's all you heard all over Springhill was, where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at? People knew immediately that there was something wrong and wanted to know where he was.
A big void in his family's life, but it's also a big void in all of our lives, not being able to see him.
Because he did have a smile. He had a big smile.
A big man with a big smile and a big heart. That was him.
I'm David Payne. We run a processing plant here. Bruce was always delivering stuff out here to us. That's how I got to know him.
And I'm Billy Payne, his wife. We do a lot. We're a custom processing plant. Process hogs, calves, and deer. And we stay real busy. So I don't know how long he's had this route out here, but it's been a long time. Several years.
We just knew him from the business. He delivered our packages out here. He was a joy to see come in the door. He was always a smiling, he was always a laughing, he's always joking around with you, and you just enjoyed seeing him. He just brightened up your day if you was having a bad day. I thought a lot of the man, and it come as a total shock to me. Sure was.
Last year we found out he changed his route. You know, they put him on another route close around, and we really missed him. So he came back in the spring. He said he was back with us, and he even hugged my neck. He was so happy to see us because he said he'd missed us. And
Yeah,
he was a good man.
he's a good fella.
Now, one time he would always call us Miss Billy, and he might say Dave or something.
He'd always call me Dave.
Yeah, Dave for David. But one day he come in with a box and he said, Miss Billy, he said, I know what's in that box. Got to be for them grandbabies. He said, every now and then I'd hear something. So I opened it up to show him, and sure enough, it was a toy. It would bump and it would go to play music. And at first he said, I was trying to figure out where that was coming from. But he always asked about our family.
Yeah.
You could tell he was a fine Christian young man. He came in one time and said, Miss Billy, well, I took my baby girl to college this weekend and left her. He said, you know what I did? I said, no, Mr. Bruce, what did you do? He said, I cried like a baby. I said, you know, that is fine. That is fine. He said, you know what? You're right. So, but yeah, he was a really fine man. Always sharing. In fact, he gave me his phone number. Said, here, you ever need me for anything, you call me.
That's very unusual right there. I mean, he'd go out of the way to try to help you.
Yeah, he would.
He would. Any questions we had about UPS or pickup package or something we need to ship back, he could always give us an answer to it, you know, or he'd even find out. He'd let us know something. Yeah, we really miss him. Already miss him. Like I say, it comes as a total shock to me. Just couldn't believe it. Trying to set an example for the young ones coming up, you know, and I'm sure he was. He was setting a good example for them. But I never saw him get out of the way, say anything out of the way or nothing. All the time we knew him. Enjoyed seeing him walk in the door, just brighten your day up.
My name is Carrie Edwards. We're in Springhill, Louisiana at Professional Home Health Services. I've been here a little over a year. Mr. Bruce, as I called him, always had our UPS. And then when all of the COVID started, he learned real quick we didn't want him coming in, so he just come to the door, banged, and left all of our packages on the back doorstep. I would call him Mr. Bruce, how's your day? And he would correct me real quick. My name is not Mr. Bruce, I'm Bruce. And no matter where you saw him after hours, if you saw him around or if you were out during the day and you saw him before he made a drop here, he spoke. He knew where you were, and he knew what was going on. And we just appreciated having someone like him. We order a lot of copy paper, and he would always make sure it was behind the counter so we wouldn't have to pick it up or try to move it
in for us.
Yeah, he was just always really friendly and outgoing, and we appreciated that. If we had a problem or anything, we really appreciated that.
And I'm Samantha, and Professional just wants to send out our sympathy and our prayers to his family.
He will be missed.
Well, I'm Christy Alton, and this is Ellie Mae and Teddy. Bruce is probably our UPS man, I don't know, for a long time, like 10 plus years. He was always super nice. He was always on his little earbud talking to, I think, his daughter. But would always take time to stop and speak to you. I think one thing that stood out to me, I work at the Pine Plaza Barbershop in Springhill, about 10 minutes from my house. This was not his delivery area, but he knew if I was not home and it was raining, he would bring his packages to my work. I never asked him that. I never, he never, nothing ever was said about him bringing something or going the extra mile or anything like that. But he just showed up one day and he was like, I have your packages. I'm like, well, thank you. So yeah, he was super nice. And I was super sad to lose him. And I don't think he could be replaced. Had my friends over at the back porch, and I'm on the back porch crying, and they're like, you're crying over your UPS? I'm like, yes, you just don't understand. He was he was amazing. So yeah, he is gonna be greatly missed. So, and I've heard other people, you know, talk about him, and they're like, he would go in the house and leave the packages in the house, so they wouldn't get damaged or, you know, stolen or anything like that. And I thought, that's pretty amazing too, that you trust your UPS driver to go in your house. Yeah. Because, you know, most of the time you don't know them, but people like me that have Amazon delivered about 4 times a week. Right. And we, my driveway's a half a mile long, and we were living in the front house before the house was built. And so I had to catch him and tell him, I'm like, you know, we're living here. This is not my address. My address is back here, but there's nothing back there. And he would deliver to the little house until we built. So yeah, he was super nice.
I'm Jerry Moore. I'm the part owner of the Circle J Kennels now. My daughter is Crystal Mauser. She's the one that operates this. We're in Shongaloo, Louisiana. We're on 390 Johnny Mauser Road, and we moved here in November. But we run a business in Springhill out on Walnut Road out in the parish we was out there for 35 years. So we got to know Bruce through delivering to that kennel, and we were very sad when we thought that he wouldn't have this route over here, you know, but he did. And lately, you know, he delivers all of our dog foods and stuff from companies and stuff like that. But fine Christian man. I met him years ago. I started walking a few years ago, and he'd come by in the truck and everything, and he'd hand out a bottle of water for me, you know, because I was on this thing. I was going to walk 3 miles a day, and he'd come down King Orchard Road, and he'd have me a bottle of water, you know. And he said, "You need water now?" And I said, "No, not now." And he said, "Well, I'll catch you on the way back." And he was just a very helpful man, and he would look for you. He wanted to make sure that the packages were delivered and everything to it. And if it had to be signed, he knew who to go to. He knew everybody. So he knew who would sign the package and get it to us, you know, if it had to be a signed package back then. So, and this is our worker here. She's been working for us
for 18 years.
18 years, yeah.
I'm Dana Arnold. I'm from Shongaloo. Mr. Bruce can either catch me here, at home, or at my land. Either way, either places he'll catch me to deliver my packages. But he was a very good person. Very good. I miss him a lot.
Yeah, and we missed him. And when we missed him that day, the week before he left, I was telling y'all, you know, I almost finished my house, and I told him, I said, when I get through with my house, I'm gonna cook you those fish you've been wanting, because everybody tells him all the time that I cook real good fish. And I said, well, what kind do you want? And he said, well, I like them white perch. And I said, well, I got a deep freeze full of them. And I said, next Friday, I said, we're gonna cook fish. And we did cook fish Friday, but he didn't show up, and we were wondering, you know, why, you know, but he missed out on a good fish fry. But I bet he got one in heaven, because he was a very Christian man. So we very enjoyed him and everything. The family he treated every one of us just like family. So my dad stuff for my kids, and they'd order it and they'd be late. He would call me between Dixie Inn and Cotton Valley and said, where you at? I know you need this stuff today. It's got on there 1 day service. He said, where you at? And I'd meet him down between Cotton Valley and stuff and get there, because he knew I needed it that day. You know? Yeah, I mean, he would call my son. My son got his phone number today, and he called him when he didn't show up. On that 2 weeks he knew something was wrong. He called his number, you know, and he didn't answer it, but he had his telephone number too, boy. And he called him. He knew that he needed that stuff. He called him, you want to meet me? And he said, you know, everything. He said, sure do. You know, and he'd do the same thing for him. He'd run and meet him, you know, where he could get the stuff, because he knew he needed it that day. Real good guy.
My name is Carolyn Leonard, and it's spelled L-E-N-N-A-R-D. And the first time I met Mr. Bruce, he brought me packages. I buy a lot from Amazon because I hate going to town. I hate Walmart, and I surely ain't gonna do the self-checkout thing unless it's just a dire necessity or whatever. But he just was, I don't know, I'm a very talkative person, and he was kind of, yeah, no, but come to find out he has somebody on the phone, I think, and I think he'd called about another package trying to locate where they was at. But the second time he came, and then I got talking to him, and I asked him about his name, and I told him that I had been cleaning up around here, this yard. I'm renting this house. I have a home on Lake Claiborne, but so I come to Shongaloo to live in the city, or live in the little town, so I can have a garden and then hang out in my she shed around back. But Mr. Bruce, bless his heart, he would bring me stuff all the time. And then he'd bring me a little thing. He said, "You got it ready to go back? You got it ready to go back?" And I'd say, "No, do I have to today?" And he'll say, "No, you can do it whenever you want to." And I said, "Great." So I just lay it on the porch, and the next few days, when you come by, it'll be out there. And so I asked him when I had this disc up, because tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, cabbage, watermelon, cantaloupe, and the rest of it's supposed to be peas, beans, and all different kind of varieties of peas and beans and all of that, and some corn. But the tractor broke down, so as soon as this next rain comes, that's going to be handled upon. Then I'll have peas and beans when everybody else is gone. But I'd asked Mr. Bruce what kind of vegetables he liked, and he would want me to raise for him. And he says, "Any of them. I just take any of them." And I said, "Well, when my garden comes in, you will have all you need." And he said, "I sure do appreciate it." And every time he come, he'd make that little circle around there and pull in his way, just so he could peep out here at this garden, so he could just, see what was going on. And he said, "It's looking good, it's looking good. I just don't see how you do it up in the middle of the day." And I said, "Well, I have arthritis. My hands hurt in the morning, so usually up in the day is when I feel the best, and that's when it gets done. I have to take short breaks." But Mr. Bruce was one of a kind, and it broke my heart to hear that he passed away. And the sad part is, we didn't even know his last name, and somebody had said they're going to find out, so we can all around here send something to his family. And I'm going to find out to make sure when my garden comes in, so I can fix a box of vegetables to go to his family. Because we cared about Mr. Bruce, and he was good to all of us. Very good.
Hi, I'm Ann Sexton from Shongaloo. I'm school secretary at Shongaloo High School, now North Webster Lower Elementary. Lived here in Shongaloo all my married life, 42 years almost. Knew Mr. Bruce. He was our ups man, and we dearly loved him. And he brought packages to the school. He brought packages to my house, and we just thought the world of him when we heard about this terrible loss. And it was a very terrible loss to us. It was a terrible loss to everybody. It just was heartbreaking. My daughter-in-law just lives down the road from me, and she just could not believe it. She said her and her two boys just loved him dearly, and they was always going out and giving him water and asking him, did he need something to eat or drink and stuff. And everybody that has ever come in contact with him loved him. I mean, he went beyond the extra mile to take care of us. Was always making sure everything, if it wasn't delivered to the school, it was delivered here. He never, even like late at night, at 7 o'clock at night, we saw the UPS truck go down my driveway, look out, and there's nothing outside. Look in my vehicle, and there's a package for the school. Already, he just put it in there and left it there for me to take to school with me the next day. He always did his job and did it well. We will dearly miss him. I have already cried. I cried with his wife. I cried. I mean, when my sister first told me about it, then she told me the next day, she said, I think it was the wrong man. She said, I don't think it's him. So I'd already told my daughter, and she was very upset. And then she said, I told her, I said, it may not be him, it may be somebody else, you know. And she said, well, I hate it for whoever it is. But she said, if Mr. Bruce drives up and it's not him, if it's, you know, he didn't pass and it's him out here, she said, I'm going to run and go give that man a big hug. I don't care about this coronavirus. And I said, you know what, Emily, I'm going to be right behind you. Because we love you, you know.
I'm Amanda Sexton. This is Luke Sexton, Lane Sexton, and Heath Sexton. We live in Shongaloo, and we knew Mr. Bruce from obviously coming and delivering packages, and that's what it started out as. You could hear him coming. He was always on his little headpiece, and you'd hear him out here giggling, laughing, talking really loud, and he just dropped the package at the door. So we didn't really talk for a while, and then later on when the kids would be outside, we'd bring him something to drink or offer him supper and start conversations with him, and then it became more than that. The kids would jump on the truck and he'd say, which one wants the package today? Or Christmas time would come and he'd say, you know, Mama's really ordering a lot. I mean, he'd always have something to say, but most of all, he always had a smile on his face, and he always wanted to know how you were doing. And in particular for me, I've been going through a lot lately, and one day I came outside and he looked at me and he said, you're not feeling good today, are you? And I said, no, sir, how'd you know? And he said, I could just tell. He said, you go inside, it's hot, take care of yourself. And I don't know, most people don't notice that, and he just was, you knew he knew the Lord. You could just tell he had a sweet way about him, and he was sweet to us. And so for us, it was more than just the UPS man, you know, that dropped packages. So yeah, we kind of loved him. And do you have anything you want to say about Mr. Bruce? What do you want to say?
I've been missing him for years, and when I lived here for years, and I've been riding the razor, and I've been helping.
Tell him about when he would come up with a package. Did he always talk to you and shake your hand?
What'd you always bring him?
Yeah, what was his favorite drink you always went to get out of the refrigerator? No, body armor.
Body armor.
Yeah. Always kept him a cold drink in the refrigerator, didn't we?
Yeah, we got the red ones.
The red ones were his favorite. Yeah. Lane.
He was a very kind and sweet man. I do miss him. He was like family.
Well,
yeah, he was to the family.
If you could use a word just genuinely nice, if that could be spelled out in the dictionary, his picture would be beside it. I work around this area a lot and saw Mr. Bruce a lot. There was never, not a single time that when I was out working that he would not stop, package or not, he would stop and say, do you, I do trees, and he would always point, he's like, I know you're up there, I hope you're being safe, do you have plenty of water? If you don't, I'll bring you some. And you know, it was always funny.
He pulled out his ice chest.
Oh yeah, he would always pull out his ice chest. I've got plenty of water, Mr. Bruce. Are you sure? I'll get you. I'll go get you something. Just you be careful up there. You scare me up there. And I said, well, you know, you be careful. I said, you know, that truck you're driving is so deadgum hot in there. But he just a genuinely nice guy, and my cousin was over here the other day, and the very first thing he said when he pulled up is, what happened to our UPS man? And it was just a shocker for us. So
and one more thing, I don't know if y'all even knew this, but he limped a lot, and he would be so tired by the end of his route. One night he came at, was it 9 o'clock at night?
Yes.
And we were having breakfast supper, and we fixed him a biscuit real quick, and he ran it out to him because he had not eaten. And I mean, he would be limping, taking the package to the door, but he never stopped or slowed down. And I mean, it'd be 100 degrees outside, and he was still going with a smile on his face. And I don't know many people like that.
Yes.
So he cared about us, and we knew that. So
he was one heck of a man.
Just know that he was truly loved on both ends of the spectrum. I know that his family loved him, but he also had for us, extended family, that, you know, it was I hate to say a true joy, but just because UPS man's bringing you, it truly did mean something to us, that when he come up every day and dropped off the package for us, you know, just to see his smile, because there was never he never uttered a bad word, nothing bad come out of his mouth when he was here. It was just he made you feel good just to see him. So we're truly sorry, and I know y'all are hurting, but we truly are hurting too, because it was sure enough a shocker.
And we are praying for y'all.
Absolutely. So thank y'all for doing this.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Boy, you better be careful up there. You know, come down. You know, I don't like seeing you up there.
He told me to tell him to quit. He was like, I don't like him being up there by himself. He's gonna fall out one day. He just needs to quit.
He tried to race me one day.
You might not should tell that.
Not in the vehicle. No, on foot. And I mean, obviously, you know, Mr. Bruce, probably not too much of a racer. But I was in Sarepta doing a tree job, and he had a couple packages to deliver up the long driveway, Miss Pam Allen's driveway. And so I come down out of the bucket, and I told Mr. Bruce, because I was actually blocking the driveway, he parked right there on the edge of the driveway, and I said, leave it there. I said, I'll get it. And I was coming down, he's like, no, you go about your business. I said, no, I'll come get it. I'm blocking your way. So like, I'm trying to get out of the bucket as quick as I can, and he's like shuffling just as fast as he can to get up the driveway to keep me from me getting the packages before he could get up there. So I ended up finally getting them from him. I was like, hey, if you've got our packages, go ahead, so you don't have to make that. Oh man, thank you. You know, I appreciate that. You know, that'll keep me. I don't mind stopping. I'll get to see the boys and your wife. I said, no.
But then the one day you ordered trap and stuff, he said his truck had been stinking.
Oh my Lord. So I love to trap, you know, hunting and fishing, but trapping is a big thing for me. And I ordered some bait, and obviously it did not smell too well. And he
smells like straight up butt.
Oh,
he had to smell it all day.
Straight up butt? Yes. And he said, son, I don't know what is in that package, but bless your heart. And he just dropped it off over there on the side of the driveway and went and got back in his truck. So.
Oh, he wouldn't. If it was a present, he would say one day it was his tire swing right before his birthday, and a lot of times they don't cover up, you know, whatever it is. And he said, "Is this for?" And I was like, "Yeah." So his sister ran and got it, and they hid it. So he was good about watching to see if Christmas was coming or whatever. He'd hide it from them versus everyone else just.
It'd always be real good. You could tell if, also a present if it was something that had, you know, the decal or a picture on the outside of it. He'd always turn it face down or stack stuff up around it. So he was just a genuinely good guy.
Okay. Well, we're the Morgans, and we just love Mr. Bruce to death. He always smiled. So kind. He would come out of the truck just laughing, and just that big old grin on his face. So I don't think I ever seen him not smile, actually. So.
It's one of them, and every time we seen the truck, before he even pulled in the yard, I mean, it put a smile on your face, because, I mean, you know, he was going to talk and visit, and, you know, it's really the whole community, you know, it's like he become family to us.
He didn't like dogs, little or big. Yeah, the last time he was here, last time I seen him, we were getting books delivered to us since they were out of school. I was keeping them reading, so he was coming pretty much every single day. So the last time I talked to him, it got me. He told me that he was proud of me and that I was a good mama to these babies, and that he was just proud of me, and that just kind of stuck me. That was the last thing that he told me before I saw him again. He said, I'll see you next time. I said, okay, I'll see you in a couple of days. And so I'll see him again soon. We will. We'll see him again soon.
A few years.
So, but he, yeah, you just can't forget him. He was just so kind. And he wasn't just, you know, didn't just bring our mail. He was our friend, and he just can't replace him. Can't replace him.
So what do you do here?
I own a small bakery, and I also work from home. So I always have little things that are delivered here all day. I would come out covered in flour and bring him cookies all the time, and so every time he'd come, also he'd ask about, you know, what I was baking, what I was doing. so he got spoiled a lot. So anytime y'all see him with cookies, that's where they came from. But yeah, they just play all day long outside, and he would just come driving up in the driveway, and they'd go running out to him, and he'd be handing them packages, and they were too heavy. Or if I was barefoot, he's like, no, stay there. So I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, he was just the sweetest thing.
How long have you lived here?
I believe lived here his whole life.
I've been here my whole life. It was actually the house I was raised in.
So.
And she's been here the last 11 years.
We've been here our whole lives.
So you've known him for how long?
Couple of years, maybe.
Couple of years. I don't know.
But he started delivering here.
3 or 4 years, maybe, I think. I don't know. He may be coming longer than that, but I'd say about 3 or 4 years when we really got to know him. Within the last year, when we really got to know him real well, you know, when I started getting more stuff coming in. So he'd started coming more often, so I'd see him almost every day or every week. So, mainly was looking forward to them big old Amazon packages he'd always bring me. He's like, mercy. He's like, ooh. He'd always pick on me. He's like, that's a big box you got there. So, that's the kind of man he was. He was always bring you a smile every day, all the time.
Yeah.
So just can't forget that. I could just hear his voice in my head. Hey, how y'all doing? Just hear his voice. And that was one thing that you can't forget. His deep voice. So,
he's nice. Yeah.
He's like a big old teddy bear. What he was, big old teddy bear. So, that's pretty much how we remember him, and we'll always remember him, and we'll never forget him. That's for sure.
My name's Maureen Dennis, and I live in Shongaloo. Bruce has been my delivery driver for 15 years. He has been through the births of my children, of my grandchildren. He has been on our new addition of our pool in the backyard. He always took time to come back and see our progress that we put in 3 years ago. He always made time to stop by, even if he did not have any packages for us, to stop and check to see how me and my mother and my husband were doing, regardless if he had anything for us. If he didn't see us for a week or two, he always wanted to stop in and just to say hi, how we doing, do we need anything? He's just one of those type of people, always doing for everybody else. When we were building the pool, every single week he would get out of his truck and come up here, even if he was running late, and come see the progress that we made on the pool. He loved his greens. We have a garden back there and our garden over here, and my husband would make sure, regardless of what was going on in our lives personally, that when it was time for Bruce, or even that morning or the day before, that we always had a sack of greens for him. And sometimes he didn't have a delivery for us, and he would be over at John and Sharon's, or the next house over, and he would be going over there, and Tom would run across the pasture with a big old bag of greens for him. So that, tomatoes, anything we had out of the garden, he was always, you know, he always said he didn't need anything else but his greens. So that was a pretty special that he took the time out of his day to stop and check on us and see how our day was going, and if there was anything that he could do or pray for us about. It takes a special man to do that. It takes a special person to do that. He's been through our ups and our downs, and he has held me, and he has prayed with me in bad times, and has been there to praise and worship with us in good times. I can't go anymore. I know he's smiling down in heaven right now, and I know that he is with the Lord, and he's rejoicing because he is with the Lord. He was looking so forward to retirement, but I think that where he is right now, he would much rather be where he is right now, but without his beloved family. That's the thing that breaks my heart, that he's ever without his beloved family. So, rest in peace, Mr. Bruce. We love you and we miss you. Go above and beyond in everything he can do. But come out of that truck just a smiling and grinning, and I come out by myself, and he just, you better get back to that house. I'll tell your mama. I'll tell your husband. You better go on. Open the door for me. That's what you can do, is open the door for me. Come inside, get a bottle of water, go on about his business, and talk about tomorrow. So, you just can't. This is just awesome that what y'all are doing. And I don't do social media, and my mom pulled it up, and that just filled my heart with so much joy, that to see what the efforts of UPS did for him, and what y'all are still doing for him now, for his family. And you know, you always say, Mr. Bruce, you know, when are you take some time off, Mr. Bruce? When are you gonna just, I'm just gonna keep on going. I love my work, I love my people. And it's like, Mr. Bruce, you can retire. I'm just gonna keep on going for a couple more years, you know. And Mr. Bruce, you can still retire, you know. Come on, do it now. Spend it with your family and friends. I'll have time to do that. And I am enjoying life, and life is good to me right now. So this is what I'm gonna do. When the Lord tells me it's time, then I'll give it up. But he said, I enjoy my work too much. I see my customers every day. He said, you know, this past Christmas I wrote him always give him a gift card or something like that, and I gave him a gift card, and I wrote him a note inside and told him how much he meant to us. And he got out of his vehicle when he told me, he said, you know, I've known you for a lot of years, lady. And he said, this is one of the most touching notes that anybody has given to me. The money, thank you, we appreciate that. And he gives it to the church, you know. But that note right there, he said, that's pinned to my heart. And I was just like, well, thank you, Mr. Bruce. It makes you feel good whenever you know sincerely that you have touched a person in such a positive way, because he has no idea what he did for us. I mean, we look forward to Mr. Bruce coming every day. I ordered stuff off of Amazon that I did not need, so that Mr. Bruce would come by to get his greens, or to, you know, see watermelon. Oh gosh, the watermelons. Oh yeah, his truck hauled a many watermelons. So whether that was legal or not, really don't care. But his greens and then again his watermelons and cantaloupes. So right. Yeah. So yeah, his is a special man. So.
My name is John Stanley. This is my great-grandson, J.T. Stanley. The J.T. is for John Tyler. But Mr. Bruce was our servant here for a long, long time, and a very, very good man. Always cheerful, always willing to do anything you needed extra. I wish he would have been my neighbor. He was that kind of person. Just a fine man, talk about his family. He was really a communicator, and always cheerful. Never saw him in a bad mood or having a bad day. I know he had a bad day in the end there, but he was a fine gentleman, and we were all proud to know him. And he had served here, I don't know how many years, but he's been coming here for, my wife likes to shop online, so he came almost every day. Because he told me several times, you need to take that credit card. But it was easier on her and easy on everybody, and he really did the job, and always so cheerful.
Papa?
Yeah, he was a good guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah. we really miss him, and we'd like to have him back. And we hope that the next guy that takes his place can do the job that Bruce did. Bruce was just a wonderful man and a good friend.
Right.
You want to tell him something? Tell him. What you gonna tell him? Mr. Bruce would give you a package every now and then and let you carry it, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Bruce? This one's on package.
Package, yes.
Yep. Very good.
He was good about that. He'd take time with the kid. He was just, he'd even talk to the dogs. And they run out and bark at him every time. But he knew they weren't going to bite, they were just greeting.
Papa, that's it.
You want the key? He always wants the key.
No, it's not my key.
Not your key. But glad you came by to do this. It's been,
yes,
it's
sir.
been. I think it's a great thing you're doing for a great man.